welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be another episode of the Championship Roundup, and this weekend in the Championship, guys, it was once again a pretty hectic weekend in terms of Championship action. So all of that will be discussed in today's video, guys, and I'm looking forward to getting into this one. So as always, guys, I will be very interested to know as to what did you make of your team's performance this weekend. Let me know in the comments down below, because throughout the video we're going to be bringing up quite a few talking points actually from this weekend's Championship action, as we had quite a bit of drama go on this weekend. And as well as that, guys, we also have a game taking place tonight in the Championship as well. That is the London derby going on between QPR and Brentford. So if you're watching this after that game has taken place, feel free to leave a comment in the comments down below as to what you thought of that game as well. And also let me know down below, what do you think was the goal of the weekend, and what did you think was the result of the weekend? In terms of goal of the weekend especially, there's a lot of contenders for this one, as we saw some pretty audacious goals being scored in the Championship. So just before we do get into any of the games, guys, I will include your comments on screen now. So if any of you guys did successfully manage to get any of your scorelines correct this week, I will include your comment on screen now. So fair play to everyone who did get one correct this weekend. I managed to get one of my score predictions correct, and that was actually the Hull City against Bristol City game, which finished 3-2 to Bristol City. Somehow I managed to call that one, so that's not bad going from me. So what first game that we had to talk over was the early kickoff on Saturday, the Yorkshire derby taking place between Barnsley and Leeds United, and in the end it was a pretty comfortable 2-0 away victory for Leeds. Now in terms of a spectacle of a game, it wasn't the best one in my opinion. It was quite a scrappy game actually, quite a stop-start game this one, where there are only two real moments of quality in the game, which came from Saiss and Alioski, led to both Leeds United goals, you know. In terms of Barnsley, they were defending quite relatively well in this one to limit Leeds to quite a few half chances, but going forward for Barnsley, they weren't really, their creative players especially, weren't on it in this one, and they did struggle to break down this Leeds side, which ultimately led Leeds to being pretty comfortable in this one in the end. So Leeds fans, I'd love to know from you guys, what do you think the rest of this season does hold, as I'm still in the balance about where I think Leeds will finish come the end of the season. This victory left them only 3 points off the playoffs, so there's still work to be done at Leeds, but there's still promise for the rest of the season. And our next game saw Aston Villa go ahead and get a 2-0 home victory over Ipswich Town. So another 2-0 to go ahead and talk over. This one I'd say was probably a little bit less comfortable than the Leeds game. I thought that Ipswich weren't actually too bad in this one. Going forward, I thought they were causing Aston Villa quite a few problems in this game actually. From set pieces especially, they really were looking like a danger. You know, they had a goal disallowed in the first half from Joe Garner, and a couple other set pieces were causing this Villa side some problems, but in the end, Ipswich, they were their own worst enemies really, with some pretty slack defending, which led their Aston Villa star man Albert Adoma throwing goal twice. He managed to pounce on them to grab 2 more goals for Villa this season, and just how good, Villa fans, has Adoma been for you this season? He's been magic for you. 2 more goals in this one, and Villa keep climbing the table. And our next game saw a game take place at the bottom of the Championship between Burton Albion and Sunderland, and in the end it is a massive 3 points for Chris Coleman to go ahead and pick up with that 2-0 victory away at Burton. Now in this one I thought that Burton would have been probably a little bit disappointed actually. In the first half it was sort of an even contest really, as Burton missed a couple of decent chances. Marvin Sordell had a decent chance in the first half, and Aidan McGeady as well had an alright chance. There wasn't really much in it in this game until the 84th minute, where Vaughan managed to put Sunderland ahead, and then Honeyman managed to double their lead in the 88th minute. Now of course that means that they now go above Burton Albion in the table, and really this is a massive victory for Sunderland, and maybe as a platform for them to start building on and getting some more decent results. Of course they still don't have the squad which is required to have a decent season. You know, they've still got a really injury hit squad, but there's promise there with what Chris Coleman can work with. In terms of Burton Albion though, not looking brilliant at the moment. And our next game saw Fulham go ahead and pick up a 1-0 home victory against Millwall. Now in terms of this one, wasn't the best game. You know, Fulham were coming off the back of that ridiculous midweek game, that 5-4 against Sheffield United. So in this one we couldn't have really expected there to be as many goals, but in this one, not the best game to go ahead and watch in the end. And in the end, it was actually a pretty dubious penalty, which was the deciding factor from this game. I watched the replays back of it, and I thought it was a little bit harsh on Millwall, really, to give a penalty for that. It looked like a push in the back. I think it was Fonte who went down relatively easy, but nevertheless Fulham then managed to convert that penalty. Shock, you know, Fulham seem to be that team, Fulham, where they just don't score penalties. Last season they had a real problem with that, but they managed to find a penalty taken out in Ollie Norwood. He managed to slot that away and is a big 3 points for Fulham, actually. And then into our next game we go. This was a crazy game in the Championship. We saw Hull City get beat 3-2 by Bristol City, and my oh my, we have a bit to talk over in this game. Hull in the first half, and taking it into the second half, actually, they were looking quite comfortable in this game, you know. They managed to go ahead and get a 2-0 lead on Bristol City thanks to goals from both Campbell and Bowen, and up until the moment Bristol City scored, I thought they were really quite poor in this game, actually. Similar to how they played in midweek against Preston, it wasn't really the Bristol City that we've been accustomed to so far this season, and Hull were looking pretty comfortable, you know. Bristol City weren't really testing them defensively like we thought they would do, but as soon as Aidan Flint got that goal in the 68th minute, there just seemed to be a change in the mindset of these Bristol City players. After that goal went in, suddenly they looked rejuvenated, and then they were just going at Hull wave after wave, and in the end that pressure did tell, with Bobby Reid getting a goal back for them, and then Josh Brownhill in the 89th minute struck a fantastic shot into the back of the net, which managed to seal all 3 points for Bristol City. So that could be a big moment, actually, for Bristol City in their season, as of course they were coming off the back of that defeat in midweek. Had they got another defeat at the hands of Hull, we could have seen, you know, confidence slowly start to drain away, but this has shown more than anything, this Bristol City side has so much more character than they did last season, so fair play to them. Hull, on the other hand, it's not looking good for them. They're dropping further towards the relegation zone, and their manager Slutsky coming under more and more pressure. And our next game saw Derby County go away to Middlesbrough and managed to claim a fantastic 3-0 victory with a hat-trick from Vidra, and what an unbelievable game he had in this one here today. When he's on song, and some of the interchanging play that he can have up front for Derby with David Nugent is absolutely exceptional, and he was brilliant in this game here today. There's no doubt about that. Middlesbrough, I didn't think they were awful in this game, you know. They weren't helped by the red card to Ayala in the second half. In the first half, you know, Middlesbrough, they didn't look too bad, actually, and if it wasn't for Scott Carlson and some decent Derby defending, Middlesbrough probably would have got a goal in the first half, and then it would have been a completely different game. But Mate Vidra, he was the guy in this one here today. His first goal was absolutely superb, definitely a contender for goal of the weekend, and then of course he scored a penalty, and then his last goal was just an absolute gift from the Borough keeper, which I'm not sure what he was doing for that one, but fair play to Derby. They're now in the playoffs this season, so Derby fans, do you think that this form is sustainable? Let me know down below. And our next game saw Norwich go ahead and pick up a 1-1 draw against my club, Preston North End, and in this one here today, I didn't think that either side were at their sparkling best, really, from what we've seen so far this season. After watching the game, I thought that it was pretty clear to see that Norwich are struggling with confidence, especially when they're going forward. I just felt like they were getting into some decent areas, but they're just not taking enough risks when they do get into those positions, and I thought that was actually epitomised when Josh Murphy managed to go around the Preston keeper Chris Maxwell. He literally had the full goal to aim at, seemed to take an absolute age to shoot, and then Darnell Fisher managed to get back in time to block the shot. So you can definitely see that this Norwich side is struggling with confidence, but in fairness to them, one player who wasn't struggling with confidence was James Maddison. He struck a fantastic free kick to give Norwich the lead in this one, and as soon as Norwich took the lead, really, I felt a little bit of a change in how Preston were approaching this game. Going forward, we looked a lot better after we did go 1-0 behind. Alan Brown had an overhead kick which came off the crossbar. Ben Davis had a decent chance. Callum Woods had a good chance as well. But in the end, it was Tom Barkusen who got us back into the game in the 70th minute. And after that, really, it could have gone either way. We did have a bit of drama as well with the linesman. He had to go off injured, so then the fourth official had to become the linesman, and then someone from the Norwich crowd had to become the fourth official. So it was just a bit of a bizarre game in the end. 1-1, it was probably fair. Then our next game saw Reading draw 0-0 with Sheffield Wednesday. So in this one here today, the better side in my opinion had to be the home side, Reading. They were the ones that were causing most of the problems throughout the day really, and the ones who were seemingly pushing forward and wanting to get the 3 points from this one really, you know. Going forward, they were creating chances, but they weren't brilliant with them, you know. They were pretty wasteful with what they were creating. But in fairness to Sheffield Wednesday, they were quite resilient defensively, and they did make themselves pretty hard to break down in this one. But one thing I would say is surely Sheffield Wednesday should be expecting more from a game like this, you know. They should be attacking more in games like this, surely, with that squad they've got available to them. But in the end, they managed to grind out a 0-0. It's alright for them, I suppose. And our next game saw Wolves go ahead and take down Bolton by 5-1. And I mean, with Wolves now, I just think we're just coming to expect this sort of results really. And I didn't even think Bolton had a disastrous performance in this one really. It was just Wolves at times can be absolutely irresistible going forward. Bolton, they didn't help themselves as they did concede from a set piece fairly early on, with Bolly managing to head Wolves into the lead after just 13 minutes. After that, Wolves were in pretty much control of the game for the majority of it really, and two nice goals from Cavallero and one from Jota and Bonatini managed to wrap up all 3 points for Wolves. They are... will anyone stop Wolves this season? Do any of you guys see anyone else dislodging Wolves from the top of the Championship? Let me know down below. And then to the evening kickoff on Saturday, that was of course between Sheffield United and Birmingham City, where in the end it did level out as a 1-1 draw, and quite dramatic game in the end actually. Birmingham managed to take the lead from Jeremy Boga with a ridiculous goal from outside the box. It was a curling effort into the back of the net, and I'd like to see more of Boga this season for Birmingham actually. He was causing all sorts of problems, you know. His pace going forward I think is an asset which Birmingham really could do with utilising more this season. As I was watching this game, I thought he was absolutely terrific for it, and in fairness to Sheffield United, they did manage to get back into the game with a goal from Leon Clark. And I just have to ask Sheffield United fans, what is going on with Leon Clark this season? I remember back in, I think it was 2011, when my club Preston had him on loan for I think like half the season. He was abysmal for us, but there just seems to be something with Leon Clark which has just clicked with Sheffield United. He's now of course the top goal scorer currently in the Championship. Managed to bag another one here today, and with a 1-1 draw, I just don't know what's happened to him. And our last game did see Nottingham Forest lose by 2-0 at the hands of Cardiff City. Now of course we just spoke about Wolves and whether we could see anyone dislodging them at the top of the Championship. At the moment it is Cardiff who is the side who is putting all the pressure on them really at the top of the table. They're now only 4 points behind them with this convincing 2-0 away victory over Nottingham Forest. And one player we have to talk about for this one is Danny Ward. He scored an absolute worldie in this one, definitely a contender for goal of the weekend. It was from outside the box, a fantastic bending effort right into the back of the net. And in terms of Nottingham Forest for this one, I was a little bit disappointed really. You know, the first goal which Cardiff scored from Junior Hoylett, a little bit of slack defending, and with them going forward, their creative players weren't really on it for this one. In the second half I thought they improved slightly, but over the course of the 90 minutes I don't think they tested Cardiff enough as they probably could have. So now guys, in terms of my goal of the weekend, there are a lot of contenders for this one, you know. We had Jeremy Boga's goal, we had James Maddison, we had Danny Ward, we had Vidra, we had Josh Brownhill as well. There's a lot of contenders, but for me personally, I'm going to give it to Jeremy Boga for his goal against Sheffield United. It was a fantastic one into the back of the net, and just what Birmingham were needing at that point in time. And then in terms of my result of the weekend, once again quite a few contenders for this one once again, but for me personally, I'm going to give it to Derby County for getting that fantastic 3-0 victory away at Middlesbrough. So guys, that will wrap it up for this weekend's action guys in the Championship and this video of the Championship roundups. So as well as that guys, we of course do have another game going on tonight, so let me know if you are a QPR fan or Brentford fan, how do you see the game unfolding tonight? Let me know down below. But apart from that guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for regular Championship content, and make sure you check out all the other links in the description down below. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.